Hey everyone, so tonight was the second episode of Roswell, New Mexico on the CW. Now, this episode to me really had a lot of information in it. I also thought it could have very well been the third or fourth episode because it really built upon the pilot, but at the same time, I'm kind of used to second episodes being a bit of a slow burn, and this one really picked up. I really like it. I find myself really wishing that the whole season was out so I could binge watch it, just because that's how I'm used to watching Roswell now, and I just want to know everything about it. I just want to know what's happening. It really is reminding me of the original in the sense of I couldn't wait every week to see the next new episode because you never knew what was going to happen, and there was always some new mystery. And I do like that feeling. I really like this show. I hope that it's continuing to do well for the CW because I think it's doing a really good job. I never, a couple months ago, if you would ask me what I thought about this show, my expectations were really low. I just didn't think I was going to like it. But, here we are, and I'm really just loving it. So the episode pretty much starts out with Liz in the cemetery at Rosa's grave. She snuck in, or I guess it's after dark, and I guess you can only be there at certain times. But Max shows up. She has a little meeting with Max. There's some dialogue between them about how she still has her feelings for him, even though that the mark is fading on her, and she intends to prove this to him when the mark is gone. Now, after this, you've got lots of scenes involving Max, Michael, and Isabel. Michael and Isabel are still very concerned with the fact that what Max did to save Liz, how he's exposed them. This didn't really do anything for me personally with the actress that plays Isabel because I still don't find her very entertaining. I really don't like the character at this point, and I just, she's not really bringing anything to the table, I don't think. Another thing in the episode I thought was really kind of a nod to the original was there was a lot of 90s music. In the backgrounds of a lot of scenes, there's people doing covers of 90s songs. At the end of it, there's a Third Eye Blind song. And I thought that was an interesting nod to the original series, just because music, to all of these WB shows, music was just everything. I remember watching all these shows, and at the end of it, I couldn't wait to see the little tagline that would say, tonight's episode featured music from this person, this person, this person, because that's how I found a lot of my music back in the day. That's how I really was exposed to a lot of different artists, and a lot of artists got their big start by being featured on a WB show. That was just kind of the thing back then. So I really liked all of this music that they played in this episode. There was also several scenes involving Alex, bonding more with Liz and Maria, which that's another thing from the original series I loved that trio and their friendship. So there was some nice little callbacks to that in this episode. This episode also introduces Max's partner on the force, who is played by the actress from the originals who played Freya, which I always liked her on the originals. And I also think that's it's interesting now that they have three actors who were on the originals or in the Vampire Diaries universe of shows. You've got Max, you've got Kyle, and then now you have Max's partner, who were all on the original show. Or the original shows of the Vampire Diaries. So I think I like that I'm seeing those actors again, just because I really loved the Vampire Diaries and the originals, and now Legacies. So I think that's kind of a neat little thing. Max's partner in this, and forgive me, but I can't remember what her name was. She had some funky hair issues at first. It was kind of distracting, actually. There was a scene, and I really wasn't crazy about it. They're trying to track down the person responsible for the shooting in the first episode, and they end up tracking down this man named Wyatt Long. And there's a whole scene of them out in the desert, and they start shooting guns, and I don't know. It was really old westerny, and I just felt like it didn't really fit in this. I don't know. It was just a weird scene. So all throughout the episode, you get more scenes between Michael and Alex. Michael's having to move off of his land, and Alex is out there talking to him. There's all these hints, and they're talking about their relationship. I mean, they really haven't defined what happened between them, but there's little scenes, there's little mentions. So they're building on that relationship. Then we also get to a scene in a church where Liz is there lighting a candle for Rosa. Max shows up. They have this intense scene where he is showing her his memories of Rosa. That way Liz can feel them, and so she can feel Rosa again, which I actually thought that was a really interesting idea, and I thought it was really sweet, and I continue to like the chemistry between Max and Liz very much so. But he does have his hand on her chest, and all I could think of was if someone walked in, it would just look like she was getting felt up in church. So it kind of made me laugh a little bit, but it was a sweet scene. Now, kind of after that, Liz goes to Kyle because she's wanting to see the autopsy of her sister. At first, he's a little hesitant, but he gets the autopsy, and he calls her back at some point, and he finds that there's 2 autopsies, one that he doesn't believe is accurate, and then the second one that he believes is very accurate. Now, I don't know where he found this one, but he does have this really cheesy line, I thought, where he says something about your sister was murdered by aliens, and I don't know if it was the actor or what, but the scene just comes off really, really odd. And so after that, Liz has seen the autopsy, which was a very disturbing scene. I thought if you're seeing an autopsy of your loved one, she sees the fingerprints or the handprints looks like it's on Rosa's face. And so then she's thinking that, an alien definitely had something to do with this. Of course, the only one she can think of, I think, probably is Max. She's already a little suspicious that he knows something. So that just kind of gives her more ammunition for that. Now, later, it might have been before that, might have been after it actually, there's a scene with Maria and Liz at the bar, and it made me really wonder how Maria fits into the relationship with Rosa. I mean, I'm assuming she was friends with both of them, but there was also a mention of Maria being with Rosa the night that Rosa died at the bar, and I kind of started wondering, how old is Maria supposed to be? Is she supposed to be Liz's age? Did she just have like a fake ID or something? There was just questions like that. So later on after that, you've got this Wyatt Long, and he and his friends are trying to harass Liz's father because everyone in town still hates the Ortecos after what Rosa did. There's a scene with them trying to beat him up. Max ends up saving him, and then Max runs into an alley after Wyatt Long and actually ends up almost killing him. I thought they were actually going to have that happen, but Michael and Isabel saved the day. Michael is wearing a really oddly looking cowboy hat. It was kind of strange. So then you have Max realizing that ever since he's healed Liz, that there's something wrong with him. There's something inside of him. He's got these issues. And, they have a nice little scene between them. And I like the 3 of them together, just like I did in the original series, even though I'm still not crazy about Isabel. So towards the ending of the show, you had Max and Liz out in the desert, and I couldn't help but think about the old WB promos that they used to play, and they were really artistic looking. I remember I just loved them. There was always some sad song playing over it, and just scenes of the characters, and Max and Liz were always in the desert and staring up at each other, and the camera was spinning. I just kind of think these scenes in the desert are almost a little callback to that, and I appreciate it. So it's the morning, as the episode title says, it's the morning after this, and Liz tells Max, and I don't think she meant it, she's just scared, but she tells him that the mark has faded, her feelings for him have faded, but it just kills him. Of course, he's not going to say anything, but he says something about, when is she leaving? And she says she's going to stick around. Obviously she's going to stay around because she wants to know what actually happened to Rosa. Well, after that, you get a scene of Max going to his partner's house, and I guess you are to believe now that they have like a friends with benefits relationship. And I don't know. It was very not Max Evans, I don't guess, but It's a new show. It's a new time. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic there. I kind of thought that maybe she had a thing for him, but adding this into it, maybe there's a little triangle there. Also, you've got Michael and Alex having their final scene of the episode, with Alex going to Michael. The two of them kind of argue a little bit, and it was actually a really nice scene. Alex tells him that, every time he looks at Michael, he feels 17 again, and he's insecure, and Michael tells him he never stops looking at him. And then they end up going in the trailer, and it's up to you what goes on in there. I guess they don't really show it all. I mean, we're led to believe that they're probably going to sleep together, but there's that scene. And then at the very end of it, you've got Liz back in the cemetery, and Kyle is there. He's begging her to tell him who saved her, who did this. At first she doesn't say the name, but then she says, she's going to find out what happened to her sister, even if it is Max Evans. So she does tell him. So we're assuming that Kyle is now aware that Max is an alien. So that's kind of how the episode ends. Like I said, it left me wanting more. I can't wait to see it next week. If you've got any comments about the episode, leave them below. I've really enjoyed getting to talk to everybody about this show, or just anything in general. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Seth Reviews, and I'll be back next week with another review of this show. Have a good one, guys.